right, strap in everyone, because today we are going deep into the world of cybersecurity and ethical hacking.
Ooh, sounds exciting.
It is, it is. We've got our hands on a student's assignment, and let me tell you, this is not your typical homework.
Okay, what kind of assignment?
So this student was tasked with using Nmap and Metasploitable.
Nmap and Metasploitable.
Yeah, so Nmap is kind of like a digital detectives tool, right? It's used for, vulnerability scanning.
Okay, so like a security scanner.
Exactly. And then Metasploitable,
So what's that?
it's our victim.
Ah, okay.
It's a virtual machine that is like intentionally vulnerable.
Oh, so they can practice hacking skills without breaking anything.
Exactly, yeah. It's like a cybersecurity training dummy.
Smart, yeah. So where did they begin?
Well, first of all, before any sort of digital mayhem, they had to set up a virtual environment, using VMware.
Oh, a sandbox.
Yeah, it's like a digital sandbox, right? So they can play around without breaking anything important.
Very important, yeah.
Yeah. And once, the virtual playground was ready,
Mm-hmm.
they started with a basic connectivity test using ping.
Ping, good old ping.
Just to make sure, the target machine is reachable.
Yeah, got to make sure it's talking, right?
Exactly, exactly. And so, the connection was successful.
Okay.
And with that confirmation, they were ready to unleash Nmap.
Unleash Nmap. Okay.
Yeah, they started with a basic scan
Okay.
just to get a lay of the land, right? See what's out there, what kind of vulnerabilities are we looking at.
All right.
And guess what? The scan revealed about 15 open ports on the Metasploitable machine.
15.
15 open ports.
Okay. And so that's bad. Like a lot of potential entry points for attackers.
Yeah, each open port represents a service that's running on that machine.
Right.
Like a web server, file sharing, all kinds of things.
So it's kind of like finding out that your house has 15 unlocked doors.
Exactly.
Oh, no.
Yeah, suddenly you're feeling a little vulnerable.
Right, yeah.
So, what did the student do with this information? Well, they started to dig deeper, right?
Deeper, okay.
Because knowing that there's 15 open ports is one thing, but you've got to figure out, what's actually running on those ports.
Yeah, that's where Nmap comes in handy, right? You can get more details.
Precisely. So they started using more specific Nmap commands to learn more about those services that are running on the Metasploitable machine.
So like what?
Well, they used the P flag, for example, to target specific ports.
P, okay.
Yeah, so they scanned port 80, which is commonly used for web traffic.
Makes sense, looking for web vulnerabilities, yeah.
Exactly. They also used Nmap to scan a range of ports, specifically ports 80 to 445.
Okay, and what's 445 usually associated with?
That's usually associated with file sharing services.
Right.
And those are often targets for attackers.
They are, yeah.
So by scanning this range, they were being very systematic, checking for vulnerabilities in services that are frequently exploited in real-world attacks.
Kind of like a methodical detective combing through a crime scene, right?
That's a great analogy. And they were able to figure out, okay, which ports within that range are open, which are closed. And that gives them a clearer picture of, okay, where are the potential weak points?
The breadcrumbs leading to vulnerabilities?
Exactly, exactly. And, the student didn't stop there. They started using even more advanced Nmap commands.
All right, getting fancy.
Oh, yeah, so they used the SU flag to scan for UDP vulnerabilities.
Hold on, UDP. I get TCP, but what's UDP all about?
Well, think of TCP as like a reliable postal service.
Okay.
You get a confirmation that your letter has been delivered.
Right.
UDP is more like sending a message in a bottle.
Okay.
You don't know for sure if it's going to reach its destination.
So TCP is like a phone call and UDP is like a text. Maybe they get it, maybe they don't.
Yeah, exactly. So now imagine trying to find security flaws in a system that doesn't always acknowledge your requests.
That sounds tricky.
It is. And because it's less reliable, it's often overlooked.
Right.
Which can make it even more attractive to attackers.
Yeah, like a secret back alley.
Exactly. And our student, realizing this, started to get even more advanced with their Nmap skills.
Okay, how so?
They started using timing templates, T4 flag, to speed up their scans.
So get them faster and more efficient.
Exactly. They're also using the SV flag to identify the versions of the services running on those open ports.
So why is the version number important?
Well, think of it like this. Older software versions are like vintage cars.
Okay.
Might look cool, but they often have known security flaws that haven't been patched.
Right.
Hackers are always on the lookout for systems running outdated software.
Because they know the weaknesses, yeah.
Exactly. So knowing the version number is kind of like having a cheat sheet.
I see, yeah.
And in this case, all this careful scanning led them to a very interesting discovery, a vulnerability in VSFTPD.
VSFTPD. So FTP I know is File Transfer Protocol, but what's VSFTPD exactly?
Well, VSFTPD is a popular FTP server. Think of it as a digital librarian, managing file transfers over the internet.
Okay, yeah.
But like any software, it can have vulnerabilities.
Right.
And in this case, the student had found a particularly juicy one.
Ooh, juicy. What kind of vulnerability?
Well, that's where we're going to have to pick up in part 2.
All right, cliffhanger.
So juicy vulnerability, you said. What could an attacker actually do with, this kind of vulnerability in VSFTPD?
Well, imagine an attacker gains access to an FTP server that holds sensitive data, right? Financial records, customer information, that sort of thing.
Okay, yeah.
They could download all that data without anyone knowing.
Yikes.
Or even worse, upload malicious files to the server, spreading malware.
Oh, that's nasty.
Yeah, so it's kind of like leaving your filing cabinet unlocked in a public park, right? Anyone could just walk up and take what they want.
Or plant something dangerous inside.
Exactly. And the scary thing is, lots of organizations still rely on FTP for file transfer. Yeah, without really realizing the risks.
Huh. So our student, they found this vulnerability. What do they do next?
Well, they didn't just stop there. They wanted to see if they could actually exploit it.
Okay, yeah, make sure it's a real vulnerability.
Right. So they started gathering more information about, the specific VSFTPD vulnerability they found.
All right, how did they do that?
Well, they used the search versus SFTPD command within Metasploitable
Within Metasploitable.
to look for potential exploits.
Exploits. Okay, so these are like tools or scripts that hackers use to take advantage of vulnerabilities.
Yeah, think of them like skeleton keys,
Right.
designed to unlock specific types of vulnerabilities.
So they're not just going to try any random exploit. They're going to look for one specifically view SFTPD.
Exactly.
And they found some.
They did. They discovered a few backdoor exploits.
Backdoor exploits.
Yeah.
Now that sounds even sneakier.
Oh, yeah, it's like a secret passageway.
Oh.
Allows you
yeah.
to bypass all the security checks.
So it's like finding a hidden key that unlocks the entire system.
You got it.
All right, so they found the back door. Did they actually, use it?
They did. So first, they set their sights on the target IP address, which was 10.0.2.4.
The Metasploitable domain.
Right.
Right, okay.
And then they created what's called a payload.
A payload. Now, I've heard that term before, but I'm not exactly sure what it means in this context.
Sure, think of a payload as the instructions or code that an attacker delivers to a target system.
Okay.
It's basically the bad stuff that actually exploits the vulnerability and gives the attacker control.
So like a Trojan horse carrying hidden instructions to take over.
A perfect analogy.
Okay. And in this case, our student, they crafted their payload to exploit this VSFT PD backdoor.
Right.
So did it work?
It did. They successfully executed the payload and gained access to the target system.
They're in. That's pretty impressive. What did they do next?
Well, they wanted to see how far they could go. They accessed the admin panel on the Metasploitable machine.
Oh, wow.
Which basically gave them full control.
Full control.
Yeah, they had root access, highest level of privilege.
That's pretty powerful.
Oh, yeah, it's like having the master key and, to leave their mark.
Mm.
They created a folder called Evil.
Classic. But a little obvious, don't you think? Wouldn't a real attacker try to be a little more stealthy?
Yeah, you're right. A real attacker would probably be much more subtle.
Okay.
But in this case, the student was just demonstrating their skills, showing they could manipulate the system.
Yeah, proving a point. Okay, so they had root access, created their evil funder. What did they do next?
Well, they decided to dig a little deeper into FTP, try to find other vulnerabilities.
Okay.
So they tried to create a hidden path on the FTP server using the command FTP anonymous at IP address.
Anonymous FTP. That sounds kind of risky.
It can be. It's a way to access an FTP server without a username or password.
Oh.
Often used for public file sharing, but yeah, it can be a security risk.
So like leaving a side door unlocked, hoping only nice people will use it.
Exactly.
And did they find anything?
They did. They discovered that this anonymous FTP access could be exploited.
Oh, okay.
It highlighted that, even seemingly harmless FTP configurations can have security holes.
Right. But how did they actually discover this vulnerability?
They used a tool called Wireshark to analyze what was happening during their FTP interaction.
Wireshark. I've heard of that, but always thought it was for super techie people. What does it do?
Well, imagine Wireshark as a high-powered microscope for your network traffic.
Okay.
It captures and displays every single packet of data that travels across your network.
So you can see everything that's going on.
Yeah, it's like having X-ray vision for your network.
Okay, I'm starting to get the picture.
So in this case, the student used Wireshark to capture the network traffic generated during their FTP session.
So they were basically spying on the conversation between their computer and the FTP server.
Exactly.
All right, so they captured all this data. Then what? How do you even begin to make sense of all that information?
Well, Wireshark is powerful, but it can be overwhelming.
Right.
So the students started by, just analyzing the data, looking for anything unusual.
Okay.
Then they used a feature called follow TCP stream to reconstruct the entire conversation that occurred over a specific TCP connection.
Oh, so like piecing together a phone call from a bunch of recorded snippets.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
what did they find? What were they able to piece together?
Well, as they carefully reconstructed the FTP session, they made a pretty startling
Oh,
discovery.
this is getting good. All right, startling discovery. You said, what did they find? Spill the beans.
Well, remember how we talk about encryption and how important it is to protect sensitive information during transmission?
Yeah, like making sure your online banking details aren't just out there for anyone to grab.
Right, right. Well, it turns out the FTP server wasn't configured to encrypt the login credentials.
You're kidding. They were just sending usernames and passwords in plain text.
Yeah, the student, thanks to Wireshark, could see the login credentials right there in the data.
Oh, wow. That's a major security flaw. If a student with Wireshark can see that,
Exactly.
imagine what a real attacker could do.
Exactly. And that's why, security audits and penetration testing are so crucial. You've got to find these weaknesses before the bad guys do.
So, this student's assigning, it wasn't just some theoretical exercise, right? It revealed a real vulnerability,
Right.
a really dangerous one, potentially. So what were some of the key takeaways for the student, do you think?
I think the biggest takeaway is the importance of secure configurations,
Yeah.
and the consequences of even seemingly small oversights.
Yeah, one little thing like not encrypting login credentials, and it can have a huge impact.
Huge impact. Absolutely.
And you know what else? It really shows the importance of understanding the tools and techniques that attackers use.
Right.
I mean, this student was able to, identify and exploit these vulnerabilities because they took the time to learn.
Yeah, they learn how to use Nmap, how to craft a payload, how to analyze network traffic with Wireshark.
Exactly. Knowledge is power, right? Especially in cybersecurity.
Absolutely.
The more you know about how systems work, how they can be attacked, how to defend them, the better.
Right, right.
Well, this has been quite the deep dive. We started with a student's assignment and ended up exploring FTP vulnerabilities, network analysis, encryption, so much.
Yeah, it really shows you how ethical hacking can reveal these critical security flaws and make systems more secure.
It's amazing, right? What a journey.
Yeah, it is. And it's a good reminder that cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility.
That's a good point.
We all need to be aware of the risks and take steps to protect ourselves. And if this deep dive has sparked your interest in cybersecurity, there are so many resources out there.
Yeah, online courses, tutorials, you can even find capture the flag competitions where you can, test your skills in a safe environment.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
for all our listeners out there, remember, knowledge is your best defense,
Stay curious, stay vigilant.
and stay secure.